Cool gear with live streaming. That's what we're going to be talking about. What kind of gizmos, gadgets, and things you need to make sure that your live streams look and sound amazing. I'll be talking with two experts and two gear heads, I guess you could call them, on today's show. This is our first ever Wirecast Live show with two live guests simultaneously. So it's going to be fun. And afterwards, we'll be doing a live learning session on our mobile apps for streaming, Wirecast Go and Wirecast Cam, talking a little bit about them, how to use them, how to set them up properly. So stick around. It's going to be another great show of Wirecast Live. I'm Andrew Haley, and we'll be right back after these credits. Welcome to another episode of Wirecast Live. I'm your host, Andrew Haley. We are coming at you live from our studio here in California. Every week on Thursdays at 2:30 p.m., we do this live show to welcome you into the industry of live streaming. How do we do shows like this? How do you do shows like this? We try to bring on experts in the field and talk about all things related to live streaming, how people are using it, what tips and information you might need to know, what's new in the industry. So this is a great place to catch news every week and hopefully join in the conversation. We are streaming live on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube. And if you'd like to follow us or subscribe or like or share, please do so. We always love to bring a crowd to these things. You can find us at Telestream Wirecast on Facebook, at Wirecast on Twitter, or Periscope, and at Wirecast Tube on YouTube. So please feel free to subscribe there. If you're more of an email person and you want direct updates to your inbox about upcoming guests, upcoming show topics, and sort of any special news or announcements once in a while, we won't spam you, but you can sign up for our email list at telestream.net/wirecastlive. It's a great place to just fill out your info, and we will drop you an email once a week just to let you know what's coming up on the show. So definitely subscribe. That's a great way to get notified, and you'll have a direct link to your inbox every week. Aside, next week, actually, I have my show notes down here right behind me. They slipped off the desk here. If you're curious what's coming up next week on our show, we'll be having Tim Mangini on August 3rd, and he's the director of production technology from WGBH Boston. And we're going to be talking all about how WGBH Boston, which is a PBS affiliate and station, one of the biggest in the country actually, uses Wirecast. And they do some really cool stuff out of that station. I'm very excited to talk to Tim. In fact, if you have been to Boston and you've seen the amazing public library there, WGBH has a studio right in the corner of like this glass sort of floor building of the public library. It's a beautiful studio. You can watch right through the glass as they're producing live content. I'm excited to talk to him. This should be a really fun show, and we can talk a little bit about how the broadcasters and the big boys use live streaming technology like Wirecast. So you'll definitely want to tune in for that. It's going to be a fun conversation, and that is happening next week on Thursday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. So mark your calendars. All right, with that aside, I think it's time to jump into our topic for today. I don't want to keep our guests waiting any longer than I have to. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mike Nann, who is the Magewell Product Evangelist. And Mike, you are joining us live from the East Coast. Welcome. I'm really excited to bring you on because we really haven't had anyone on to talk about the Magewell products. And of course, those are a very big part of the Wirecast ecosystem. So I'm really glad you could be here today.
Oh, no problem at all. Glad to share with everyone.
All right. Well, just to get started, Mike, can you talk a little bit about sort of who you are and how Magewell, what Magewell does for people who may not be familiar with the company?
Sure. Well, Magewell is actually a relatively new company compared to someone like Telestream. Magewell was founded in 2011, and at its heart focuses on core technology for audio and video processing. From a product perspective, that translates into designing and developing hardware and software for capture, which is probably what Magewell is best known for, management, playout, and transformation of media content. You know, even though today's software-defined workflows are so powerful, it all starts with getting high-quality video into and out of the systems. And Magewell's products are designed to help professionals get their signals in and out of their systems at high quality and reliably so that they can be processed with fantastic software like Wirecast.
Wow, it's almost like you had that memorized.
Almost. I've done it a few times. Can you tell?
Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about, so capture cards, basically, one thing, and I'm actually going to be talking about this a little bit during my recommended gear setups, because I recommend everyone have a capture card for sure. There are a lot of different capture card manufacturers out there, right? So there's Magewell, there's AJA, there's Blackmagic. Can you talk a little bit about your position, Magewell's position, as a capture card in the capture card space? Why should somebody consider Magewell versus another solution?
Absolutely. I mean, we see Magewell's products as filling a gap between expensive high-end solutions and some lower cost products, but less robust products or lesser featured products. What we've set out to do is deliver the quality, the reliability, the broad compatibility that people expect of a premium product, but at a price point that's comparable or competitive with not only sort of lower cost products or lesser featured products, but even consumer grade products. Magewell's also really set out to be really responsive to their customers, listening very closely and responding very quickly with new products and new features to meet their customers' needs. So, we want to position ourselves as a company that has exceptional customer service and stays on the cutting edge while making things affordable for people.
So, Mike, tell me a little bit about what are some of the product lines specifically, or the series of capture cards that you might recommend for folks if they're beginning to look? Because I think Magewell, again, you sort of hit the nail on the head, which is that they kind of straddle this great line between price and quality. And that's, in fact, we actually use the Magewell cards. That's why we wanted to have you on here. We use the Magewell cards in our Wirecast gear solution, which is our turnkey system. So we kind of looked at the different products out there. We really obviously love and work with all the capture manufacturers, but Magewell seemed to strike the nice balance that we needed between performance and price. And can you talk a little bit about sort of which ones, or what the type of series you might have of the different cards? So, like, because I know you make both internal and external cards, and you have different series for each, and they have different strengths and price points. So in the gear, obviously we use the internal PCIe, the quad series of the Pro cards, Pro capture cards, but they also use these really popular external ones as well. So talk a little bit about the differences and what they're designed to do.
I'll talk about both of the product lines, actually.
That'd be great.
You made a great point, too, that in addition to end users, our products are used by a lot of OEM partners. And that's where a lot of the distinction comes in, because the end users, one of the more popular product lines is the USB capture series of external video devices. But for partners who are building in their own systems, like your Wirecast Gear turnkeys, the PCI cards are pretty popular. So I'll start with the USB stuff. Those, as I said, those would be our most popular product for end users. And they allow all types of computers, including laptops, to capture professional video and audio signals through a standard USB 3.0 interface. We've dramatically expanded the line this year, actually. We started out with 2 models of it at the beginning of the year, but we're now up to 8. And we've got, standard HDMI and SDI models, depending on your input needs. We have the AIO model of the USB capture series, which has multiple input types, everything from HDMI and SDI to DVI, VGA, and even analog. And then earlier this year, for those who require more professional features, we brought out the USB Capture Plus series. And that takes everything that's great about the USB Capture family. It adds things like an analog input and output for audio, so you can do voiceover and monitoring in addition to the embedded audio. The HDMI and SDI models have loop-through connections, so you can route the signals through to additional gear without needing splitters and routers. And on top of that, we've introduced now 4K models. So there's an HDMI 4K and an SDI 4K that are all part of the family. One of the cool things about them, technology-wise, is all of them support FPGA-based video processing. So for those of you who don't know what that means, video processes like up, down, and cross conversion and graphic overlay are done in the hardware instead of taking CPU cycles away from your software like Wirecast. But what's really made the product so popular is their ease of use. We believe that they're the easiest and most reliable way to get video signals into not only live streaming software, but video conferencing software like Skype, which I'm using to talk to you today, and Zoom and so forth. They don't require any driver installation, they don't require any extra software, and they automatically detect the input format. So they're truly plug and play. I actually messed myself up. The very first time I went to install one, I expected it to be hard, even though every product says it's plug and play. So I'm sitting there for a couple of minutes waiting for Windows to tell me it's installing a driver or something like that. And it never did. And then I realized I just loaded Skype and it was already ready to go. No installation required.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things so again, I'll talk a little bit more about my experience with this, but you guys have some features like auto detect, which aren't necessarily found on every capture card. The cards almost automatically sense exactly the format, resolution, and size and frame rates that the camera or the video source you're plugging into is sending. I mean, they're very smart cards, which is really handy. It saves a ton of time. You're not having to pick from a long list and check your camera manual to fix it up. So that's one of the things I love most about these cards is they are really plug and play, and they seem to work beautifully across Windows and Mac computers, and Wirecast works great with them. So that's, again, obviously important to me.
Well, we also work on Linux too. You mentioned Windows and Mac, but I should mention Linux for those who are using other software. And you're talking about the benefit of that auto detect for customers who are using these, especially for field production. If you're going out and producing live events, you may be actually using different cameras or different switchers that you're connecting to or anything like that when you get to the environment. So that auto detect really helps because they don't have to worry about changing those settings. It just happens for them. And that's true of the USB devices and, as you mentioned, the PCI cards, which I want to talk a little more about too. The Pro Capture cards. Now, the USB Capture series is for external devices. The Pro Capture family is our PCIe cards, which go inside computer systems. Those are the ones you're using in Wirecast. And people choose them if they want the maximum performance and the maximum channel density. To give you an idea, the HD cards are available in single, dual, and quad channel models. And all of those channels can be controlled independently in terms of resolution, frame rate, processing settings. So you can connect all sorts of different sources, bring them all into Wirecast seamlessly. And again, you don't have to worry about all those settings because it can happen, automatically. But for vendors like yourselves, that's the USB one that's up right now. If you really can go to the next picture, that's the Pro Capture card. That's the one I'm talking about, the 4-channel card.
There
that's
you go.
The one.
Yeah, you'll find that in the Wirecast Gear 110. That's the quad channel HDMI card that ships with that product.
Absolutely. And there's also an SDI version as well that I believe you also offer as a Wirecast Gear option. And one of the big things, I want to give props to Telestream and a lot of their other partners as well, that even though these cards can automatically work with the drivers that are built into the operating systems and those APIs, Magewell also offers a comprehensive SDK that lets vendors optimize the performance and take direct advantage of the full feature set in the cards right through the software. And Telestream's done a fantastic job of that in maximizing the performance. Once again, the cards have that FPGA-based video processing that I mentioned. So for Wirecast users, one of the cool things that does, by taking the load off of the software and the CPU to do things like up and down conversions, scaling, frame rate conversions, things like that, all of that CPU power is still available, so you can do more camera angles, you can do higher compression quality, or you can do more layers of effects and graphics and that sort of thing that Wirecast lets you do. And that's particularly important also if somebody's using one of our 4K products to bring signals in because, the processing requirements of 4K video are quadruple that of HD.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. The more load that the cards can take off of your CPU, the better. So that FPGA processing is very important, and I highly recommend considering that as a feature when looking at a card. Because it's going to drastically reduce the load on your computer, freeing it up for other things like streaming to multiple destinations or adding more graphics and things like that. So, Mike, it's been a whirlwind. We have to move on to our next guest, but I really appreciate you coming on the show today. Where can folks, I think we have a card, but where can folks find out more information about Magewell cards and you guys?
Well, there's lots of product information and contact info on the Magewell website, of course, www.magewell.com. And, Magewell loves to get feedback from our customers, as I said. So, please feel free to submit any comments or questions that you have following today. For those of you who are in North America, I also invite you to contact the North American distributor, Mobile Video Devices. Once again, mobilevideodevices.com. The folks there will be happy to help you out. We also have a Twitter feed, of course, at MagewellCN. So feel free to follow us there and keep up with all the latest Magewell news.
Awesome.
And Andrew, thanks very much for having us on the show. I really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you watching for taking the time to learn about Magewell.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And great job. And we'll talk with you soon, okay?
All right. Thanks very much.
Have
Take
a
care,
good
Andrew.
one.
Have a great afternoon.
You too.
Bye.
All right, so that was Mike Nann from the Magewell Product Evangelist, and he works closely here with the distributor in North America, and so clearly he knows a lot about the cards. He's out there evangelizing for them, and we just wanted to have him on because, there's a lot of cards on here. So we'll probably bring on, we've already talked, I think, with Eric from AJA in a past episode, Mike from Magewell. Again, that was a great conversation. I hope you guys learned a lot about what they do and how their products work. And then next, we'll try to have someone on from other distributors and manufacturers. So stay tuned. We'll definitely book them for future shows. In the meantime, we are ready to bring on our next guest to learn more about some streaming gear you may or may not know. Joining me now is Aaron Roth from Arkon Mounts. Aaron, are you there?
I'm here, Andrew. How you doing?
Hey, welcome. Thanks for the show, coming on the show today and coming on hot like this, because we definitely haven't done a show like this where we do back-to-back guests. So this is kind of fun for us, but it's also a new challenge as well. So hopefully this wasn't too rough of an onboarding process for you.
No, I love the attributes so far, and especially the opening sequence. That was amazing. It's much more than what we're used to using Periscope and Facebook. So I'm loving the broadcast so far.
Awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And yeah, hang out in the chat, answer questions, or if there's anything you see there, jump on that. So Aaron, will definitely, I know you do a lot of live streaming for Arkon, and you've started, and we'll talk a lot about this, particularly in the area of mobile streaming. I'm really excited to talk to you. We kind of covered the capture card side, the baseband. I remember we were talking just the other day, and you're like, what's a capture card? So hopefully that gave you a little bit of an overview of what capture cards do. Now let's focus a little bit on the other kind of streaming, which is really that mobile selfie style stream. And Arkon, I mean, you guys have been making mounts forever. You're a very established company, and more recently you've been getting into this sort of mobile video, iPhone, iPod, Android type of streaming. So can you talk, first of all, a little bit about Arkon, who you guys are, what you do, and then maybe give us an introduction to what you're doing now and how you got into the streaming community? Like, how did we even find you and get you on the show?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, it was by accident. So I think it's sort of a great story. But we have been in business for actually 29 years. We were founded in 1988. And it's been a great ride along the way. But in terms of a business always staying in business, one of the keys to success is you always have to reinvent yourself. You always have to be hustling and trying to find the next great thing that's out there. Or in the as it relates to live stream, it became a tool for us to use to really up our marketing game. And it's been very effective. But we make mounts for tablets, cameras, phones, GPS, GoPros, small portable devices. We call this industry the mobile mounting category. And we make a lot of mounts for fleets, trucks that need to lock down their tablet, whatever it might be. We came into the live streaming category with hesitation, let's call it, or by accident, because back in August of 2015, I had heard about Periscope and I had heard about Meerkat, but I was very reluctant to jump on them as a means for us to be able to use those as tools for our marketing. And there was a post on Facebook one day by a guy named Terry White. And Terry White is Adobe's worldwide product evangelist. He has no affiliation with us, but he does have a wonderful tech blog, terrywhite.com. And he had posted on Facebook, and it was a simple post that said, hey, Arkon, I just purchased a mount on Amazon that holds two phones side by side. Actually, it was holding them out here. Mm-hmm. And he didn't like that about it. He said, it's all right. I'm just hoping that I can inspire Arkon to make a better one. And I saw that, and I thought about it for a second. And, I thought, wow, we have over 500 products. I'm sure that I can put something together for Terry White.
Yeah, challenge accepted.
Exactly. 5 minutes later, I had the photo of what I thought he was looking for. And it was a handheld stand that would hold two phones side by side while he was walking around. He wanted to use it actually the week later at Photoshop World, which is the big Photoshop conference. And I was there. We were one of the exhibitors. And I see him with the mount that I had brought him. And he's going around booth to booth. And he's interviewing people on both Periscope and Facebook mentions. He was one of those people, a public figure that
Right.
has a lot of followers, like 300,000 followers at the time. So he was able to get Periscope, not Periscope, but Facebook mentions before we got that access to Facebook Live, what we use today. So he was dual broadcasting, and I immediately saw that and I thought, this is a great tool to reach people.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to that, I would say we had no social media game at all. All we would do is post a photo on Facebook, usually, maybe Twitter, of whenever we had a new product, we would throw up a very nice photo of it, and we would say, here's our new item. You can get it at arkon.com.
Right.
But there were no sales at all. That was not
Yeah.
a very effective tool. And obviously now we understand that engagement is so important and really connecting to a community and building a community. And so what happened is after I saw Terry White at Photoshop World, I started live streaming every day on Periscope. In 2016, we did giveaways each week. It was something that I said, you know what? We have such a great community. Let's reward them. Let's give back to the community. At the same time, let's tell people a little bit about our products. We started doing weekly giveaways, and we ended up doing more than $25,000 in giveaways
Wow.
on Periscope primarily in 2016. And we continue to do the giveaways now, and we do them about once a week on Fridays, but they're on all the different platforms. As we progress away from Periscope, or not necessarily away, but we really wanted to make sure that we had a strong grasp of live streaming. As experts in the field, we wanted to be part of the community, and to be part of the community, we adopted what I call a comprehensive social media strategy. What does this mean for the social media marketer? It means, yes, you got to be on Instagram, you got to be on Twitter, you got to be on Periscope, maybe you got to be on Facebook Live, and all the others. Test them out and see if it's a tool that's viable for you to reach new customers.
Yeah, and so I'd like to just talk a little bit about. I mean, that's a great story of how you got into this. I mean, you sort of backed into it and didn't realize that this would be a really important part of your business, and not only that, lead you to a whole new marketing strategy for your products. And so that's, I mean, it's pretty cool that in that short a time you were able to just sort of re-engage and sort of completely change your marketing strategy. So I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you're making. What are some products that you have? I think we have some photos as well that we can show up. So Deborah Lee, why don't we throw up a photo, and then Aaron, you can talk a little bit about this.
Oh, I love this photo, actually. This has a couple things going on. Just like today, I'm a guest on various programs related to social media and live streaming as an expert. I'm, again, here in our headquarters. We have a small studio, what we call the Arkon Live Lounge, and it's a full studio with professional lighting, as you guys can see. But behind me, I'm speaking with Rachel Moore, and she has a great show as well. But I'm showing in my hands our top-selling mount, which we wouldn't have expected to become the top-selling mount, but it's called our Pro Stand. It's the one I have here in my hand as well.
Yeah, let's cut to your live shot so we can see the one you have that you're holding. But so basically, here's some more photos. We'll cover these in just a second. But
this is a height-adjustable stand that allows any live streamer to do demonstrations if they wanted to, where the phone can be facing downward on the surface. And there's so many people out there that we had actually never tapped into these communities.
Wait, so I think they missed that. Show that one more time on the stream. Can you hold that up? So this
Pro
is,
Stand.
there's the Pro Stand. Okay, so that is a height adjustable. It's got like this octopus arm, and then
Metal base.
The metal base, okay. And then at the end is a clip that can hold, what, a phone or a phablet?
Any phone, it's a universal phone holder, any
Okay.
case, any phone, it fits them all.
Okay.
But our biggest segment of customers for that has been crafters and bakers, because as they're icing the cake, decorating the cookies, making the crafts, whatever it might be, they want to demonstrate that on live stream. And so for us, if you told me a year ago that our largest segment of customers for the live streaming products, which was a new category for us, as I mentioned in 2015, would be crafters and bakers, I would have thought you were crazy.
Right.
But now this year, I've gone to at least 4 or 5 baking shows, and we're also now doing crafting shows to reach out to these customers, because so many people are embracing mobile live streaming. They're doing it with their phones and their tablets, and we're super well poised to be able to offer them the solutions that they need. Now, if we can go back to those sets of pictures, the most basic solution that a live streamer can get is a tripod, because you don't want to have what we call shaky broadcasts. Far too often we see people using a selfie stick like this, and they're trying to do a broadcast, but it makes it it sort of exaggerates what's going on with the phone, and it makes for a very bad broadcast. It doesn't have the attributes of this Wirecast broadcast, obviously.
Yeah, okay, that's true. I mean, it takes some. I can see a lot of logistics that you would have to start working around to sort of run the whole show just from phones and devices and stands. So, tell me what's going on here. So, it looks like you have 4 cameras lined up there.
Yeah, this is
4
what
phones.
we call quadcasting, and we have special guests that come to the Arkon Live Lounge all the time. You might recognize Amy Schmidauer. She has a blog that's Savvy Sexy Social. She also recently came out with a book, and the other person there in the photo to my right, to my left actually, is Vincenzo Landino.
Right, I think he might be coming on our show at some point in the future.
Excellent. Both well adapted to the social media game and what we do out there and providing information. But they had stopped by when they were out here in Los Angeles, and we are quadcasting there. You see our dual broadcasters. The one that Amy's in front of has 2 phones, and then the one Vincenzo's in front of has a phone side by side with an iPad Pro. And so we have a whole bunch of different various configurations of the dual broadcasters, which I have one in my hand here, and I'm actually watching live on the Facebook on the iPad Pro. But usually whenever I go live, we are dual broadcasting for 2 reasons. Either the first reason is we want more reach. We want to be able to do one message to multiple audiences. So we'll be on Periscope, we'll be on Facebook, or we'll be on Busker, one of the other platforms. But another reason to use it is, let's say if you have the Pro Stand. You would need a secondary device if your phone is facing downward, so that you could read those comments that your great community is providing in your broadcast, so that you can actually really engage with them instead of just telling a story.
Yeah, I was going to say, one thing when you're a baker or a crafter and you've got your phone or whatever, and you pull up the Facebook app or whatever it is, and you start streaming on it, and then you point it down at whatever you're crafting or working on, you can't even see the camera angle unless you're watching it on a second device. Do you recommend a second stand, or do you have something that flips and reverses so that they can put a second device just to watch the comments on top? How do you do that?
That's a great question. There's a very inexpensive solution. It's this one right here. It's a fold-up tablet stand. So if you do have an iPad or an iPad mini or maybe an Android tablet, it folds up. This has been a seriously successful product for us. It's sold more than 1 million units since 2010 or 9 when we introduced it. But it's just a fold-up stand that you can put in your pocket. I always have it when I'm traveling on a plane. But that is a great one. I think this one is usually about $14.95, maybe even $12.95 on Amazon.com. It's model number IPM-Tab1.
Cool. All right. Well, so I think we have 2 more photos. Let's talk about what's going on in those in a second, and then we will say au revoir for you today, and then we'll cover some other gear that I want to talk about. Great. So tell me what's going on here.
That's a great one, right? This is the mount everybody wants. One of our other friends is Miss Candy Blog, and she's shown there in the picture with me. She came out here and we tested. We like to have fun here in the Arkon Live Lounge, and that's what live streaming really should be, connecting with people and having fun. And we tested a lot of different candy, but when she was here, she said, Aaron, 2's not good enough for me, 4's not good enough for me. I really need to go extreme because I'm on every single platform at the same time. And this was our answer. It's a custom stand that we call the Candy Caster. She named it the Candy Caster, but she does go live on 7 platforms at the same time. And it was just a cool example of how we can provide really custom solutions. If we can, Andrew, I'd like to talk about one more thing, which is the lighting.
Yes. These are cool. I love these.
Yeah. In terms of right here in the studio, I have excellent lighting. I have studio lights all around me so that we can create a great looking broadcast. But for example, last night I was with my friend Babylon Brooke. She's a disabled person that is a neck injury warrior, a spinal injury warrior, and we were over at her house, and the lighting wasn't that great. So what did we do? We whipped out our Arkon selfie ring lights, and we put those on the phones, and we did the broadcast on Busker using the selfie ring light. And it just basically clips to the top of your phone like this. It doesn't block the camera, and you're able to give yourself that lighting that you need when either if you're taking a selfie or if you're doing that live stream broadcast, which is very important to have the great lighting in addition, obviously, to set something that holds your phone like a tripod or a stand.
That is cool. I mean, so a little mobile lighting solution, a little ring light. I mean, it seems like you kind of thought of everything. I think you're gonna have to start selling mini sandbags at a certain point to keep your stands in place at some point when you load them up with 7 devices.
That's a funny request because we literally do sell mini sandbags.
You do?
Yes,
There you
that's
go.
crazy, right? If you go back to the GPS era, which was between let's call it between 2004 and about 2009, when people were using devices like Garmin and Magellan and TomTom, and we have literally a dashboard mount that is filled with, it's nylon on the outside, but it's filled with sand. So it's a weighted dashboard mount that you can attach your GPS to. So we do sell that sandbag mount.
There you go. Well, they might be coming back again, making another appearance. So you stream every week, every day?
Every day.
Every day. All right. And where can folks find out more information about you and your streams and your products?
The products is arkon.com, arkon.com, just like on my hat here. And then our main platforms these days are really Facebook. Facebook's a great place to get information about when the next Arkon live stream broadcast is going to be, when the next giveaway is going to be. It's up there on the screen now.
Is it at random times or almost the same time every day?
Oh, that's an awesome question, Andrew. And there's always the question posed to people about that: should you go live at the same time for consistency so your community finds you at the same time? I love this question, actually. We typically will go live at 11, but we mix it up a lot, and we'll do giveaways on a lot of different platforms, maybe in other people's broadcasts. My belief is you don't want to go at the same time because if you always go live at the same time, you're going to get the same audience. Maybe we go live most of the time at 11, but at 11 a.m., I get the people who are not working.
Right.
Maybe they're disabled. So it's always the same community. And my goal as a social marketer is to reach as many people as possible. So I'll go live at 4, at 12, at 11, sometimes even later. And I'll be regularly jumping into other people's broadcasts to really show them that I'm part of the community.
Cool. Well, that's great advice. You heard it here first, guys. Mix it up a little. Don't be too predictable. We may have to do some on-the-spot random Wirecast shows here from time to time throughout the week. So,
I like that.
Aaron, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for covering the whole product line, and I really appreciate you coming on the show, and hopefully we'll talk with you again soon.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. The program looks excellent. I really enjoyed being on today.
Well, we're gonna have to send you some Wirecast and get you set up there in the studio. So if you want to mix it up a little, we can help you with that. But that's for another time.
Thank you.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
So, folks, that was Aaron Roth from Arkon Mounts. Hopefully that was helpful. You can see the wide variety of different cool gear, mounts, clips that they have. Aaron sent us some stuff here, so we definitely are beginning to play around with it. I'm really impressed with the mount here. It is extremely strong and adaptable. It definitely kicks butt over like the sort of generic little clips you can find. Your phones and things can easily fall out of these, and the Arkon ones are as adjustable and easy to use, but they're definitely a little bit, their tensile strength is stronger. And then of course you can add them to all kinds of stuff that they have. You can add them to that adjustable arm on the stand, the cool like dual broadcaster stuff. This is also great. We found personally just for loading up comments, because sometimes as you know on this show, I have trouble with my little Mac Mini demo machine. It won't be around forever. We'll definitely, I'm already in the process of beginning to set up another demo machine. But in the meantime, I found that it's really helpful to be able to throw my phone or a little tablet on this and read comments that way. And I can scroll through them, and I can even do more than one. So these are some examples of how you might use it. And so I highly recommend checking them out. And Aaron's a great guy, and he's always available, and you can ask him questions or tune into their streams. All right. With that, I want to cover a few of the gear recommendations that I have, and then we'll close out the show and go into learning sessions. So, and then if you have questions or whatever, I highly recommend, I'll try to take a break here and answer them in just a moment. So let's pull up my desktop here, and I'm going to just go through a couple gear recommendations here. So my recommendations for some streaming gear. This is stuff that I use all the time in just a variety of situations, whether I'm streaming here from the studio or doing test streams or on location, things like that. Just little events. And they're always handy to have around. So one thing I recommend is have an HDMI capture card. We talked with Mike about Magewell capture cards, these USB. They're about $300, and they're from Magewell, but there's a whole bunch of different ones out there. I'm not going to say you have to buy a Magewell card or you have to buy another brand, just an HDMI capable capture card. External's great. This is USB, and so you want something that can just plug into your laptop or into your desktop computer, and they're just going to be useful in case for whatever reason you need to hook up an HDMI source. Now that HDMI source could be from a camcorder, could be from a camera, could be from a game console or machine. It could be from a mobile device, actually. We'll show you that in just a second, or actually during the learning session. I'll be hooking up my iPad to a HDMI capture card. So there's just a bunch of different, you're just always going to have HDMI sources around, or at least for the near future, you'll need one of these at some point if you're planning on hooking up some kind of HDMI source. All right, on that note, an HDMI mobile adapter, I have one of those right here, actually, and this is one for iPhones and iPads. It's the Lightning to HDMI. They work pretty darn well. I've never found the charging adapter to work here. I've never gotten to charge and do HDMI out at the same time, but let's say you have an Android device, this would look a little different. It might be HDMI to a mini USB-C or tiny USB connector. Just depends on the type of device you want to hook it up to. So just some sort of HDMI mobile adapter, and you can get a nice feed directly out of the phone or tablet and directly into a capture card. And that is sometimes useful. You can, of course, do mobile apps and screen cap apps, but they don't always work. Sometimes they work well, sometimes they don't, and then you have to dedicate maybe some screen real estate or some screen capture real estate to them. This can go directly into your computer through a capture card of some kind. So those are a great combo, the capture card with the mobile HDMI adapter, and you can pretty much get most devices into your computer. Another handy adapter to have that I use all the time is a USB audio adapter. So again, this is just handy to have. You just never know when you might need this. A lot of laptops have line in and line out, and those sometimes work really well. Sometimes, if you have a newer Apple laptop, they don't have line in or anymore, so you need a USB adapter. The other thing is sometimes you can get a better fidelity through an adapter like this. They don't cost a lot. They're like $5, $8. There's a whole bunch of different ones. You can pick up a bag full. I always recommend having one or two of these around because you just never know when you want to plug in another audio device into your streaming software or setup. And so having one of these around is very useful. Again, I'm mostly speaking to people who are doing streaming on computers with these devices. So if you're a Wirecast user or Wirecast streamer, these types of adapters are very handy because they get a lot of different gear sources into your computer through the USB ports. So it's very helpful. On that note, of course, a good webcam is always handy to have. I recommend one of the Logitech C-Series. They're generally plug and play. They have HD quality. They even have some audio microphones built into them. Again, I have one just sitting right here on the desktop. It's always handy to have as just a separate source, and it's a step up from your onboard or built-in webcams. So just a handy one, and they're not expensive. They're $100 or so. So just good to have a second camera angle. Moving on, I also recommend USB and sometimes XLR hybrid microphones. You don't have to do this. You can get a USB only model, but this is one of those nice ones. It's a low price point. We talked with Marty McPadden last week on the show, and this is his sort of favorite low-cost hybrid USB and XLR microphone. What do I mean by hybrid? It can go directly as USB plug at the bottom, you go right into your computer, and you can use it as a great quality microphone direct into the computer. It can also go XLR into a mixer for a more traditional mixing and longer cable runs and things like that. One thing about USB, the cables don't go very far. You can only get them about 6 feet or so before you start to lose signal and quality and all that stuff. So the XLR is great when you're in a more professional audio or you need to run cables or sound much greater distances. So having a microphone that can do both, super handy. And then having a microphone that can do both and doesn't cost a lot, even better. And if it sounds great too, then you're really in the ballpark. So this is a great one. Another good one that we use all the time here is the USB Yeti and the Blue Yeti microphones. They have a USB model that's older. They have this new hybrid model that's USB and XLR. They're a little heavy desk sort of top microphones. You can pick up an arm for them, and so you can do stuff like this and have sort of a radio broadcast. Like there's a lot of different ways to use it, but keep in mind that you're not going to be, you can do hands-free, but you might have that microphone in the shot, kind of like what I'm doing here. This is actually, if you're curious, is a Tascam. It's not a hybrid USB microphone. It's just a straight up XLR, but we also have the USB as well. So lots of different options for you there. I thought you might find that helpful. Next, so this is for you mobile streamers, people like Aaron and people that are using specifically the, your iPad or your iPhone or something like that. The Rode VideoMic Pro, the Rode VideoMics are really well known and kind of came up with DSLR cameras and sort of became the de facto standard for a great onboard microphone that you can plug into your DSLR camera. You can get a little adapter and plug it into your iPhones. There's just use one of those simple 1/8" to Lightning adapters. You can use this with Android phones. It's very versatile, and you just need to mount them onto something. So they come with a little shock mount, which I think I have here actually. They come with a little shock mount that's sort of built into the microphone, and that just isolates the audio very nicely. So the microphone won't pick up noise if you're touching the device that it's mounted on and you're changing settings. If the mic's like hardwired or directly connected, one of the most important things about audio is you want to isolate the microphone and give it what's called a shock mount, something that just sort of cushions and softens any of the noises or sound waves that are coming from whatever this is connected to. So this comes with a built-in shock mount. It's handy. And then you just have this little 1/8" adapter, which can plug into a lot of different things, or you can get a little adapter and plug into something. And it is battery powered. There's a battery compartment in the bottom that you'll need to connect. And these are, again, just a great way, to isolate audio and get great audio. And you can kind of point it at yourself and put it right next to your ring light or on your mobile device, iographer. We'll be talking a little bit more about all of that when I go over the Wirecast Cam and Go stuff in the learning session. So that's it. Those are my sort of quick recommended gear that you should sort of be thinking about or have on hand. You don't have to have all these microphones. I'm just sort of giving different ones in case you're, depending on how you want to do your own streams and how you want to set things up. But that in general is it. So I hope that was helpful, and we kind of did a whirlwind tour of live streaming gear. And I see, what brand arm is that? This brand arm, I believe, I think it's a Rode. I think we have a Rode arm here. So yeah, this should be a Rode brand microphone arm, but there's a bunch of different ones in the studio here. I also, has a good question. We pull up, see who else here. We have Randy, Sean, you like the auto detect. He's commenting on that. Good point. Audio is one of your struggles too. Seems to cut off from the pre-show music to live cam, and the levels jump up. So that might be some feedback for us. Logitech gaming software. Let's just read a couple of your comments here. What do you do to cut down on room noise? So what we do to cut down on room noise is we use, so there's a couple ways to do that. One is, again, go back to our last episode where we brought on Marty McPadden, and we talked a bit about this, and I also covered some pro audio. If you, have a very localized lavalier mic or one of these sort of Countryman microphones that can go right by the ear, then the drop off is pretty significant, and you're really only going to get the isolated sounds from my voice and my vocal box. The other way to do it is you can use something like a dynamic microphone, which does not use power and just uses coils, so the drop off is pretty significant. You can also use microphones with pickup patterns that are more cardioid and local to one specific area and don't pick up in all directions. So recommend a cardioid microphone, something that picks up from an isolated area or is very localized in sound and is designed to only be sensitive to sources that are very close to it. And there's also some filters and things you can do, some processing that can help, but I would have to cover that another time. Aaron says, thanks for coming on the broadcast. Thanks, Aaron, for being here. That was great, and I thought it was a great overview. Rosa says she loves Rode mics, and thanks for having the Arkon Army as well, says Andrea. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully this was helpful and you guys are picking up some other info. We want to bring all of you who are in the mobile streaming world to start learning a little bit more about some of the stuff you can do when you start running those mobile devices through a desktop system and switching software like Wirecast. All right. Randy's having a good conversation with Sound Church on YouTube, talking about the H6 and the Shure. They're doing some in-depth microphone discussions, so you can check out our YouTube chat if you guys are curious about that. All right, that's going to be our show for today. Stick around if you're curious for the learning session. Let me just go over a couple last things before we close out the show. One is we would like to thank all of our partners on the show. So there's a lot of them, and we do try to work with all these lovely companies, and they have great stuff. And some of them have been on the show. Others will probably invite on the show at future points. So stay tuned with that. And of course, we need to add Arkon to that list as well, because they are definitely, we would consider somebody we'd like to partner with. So thanks to everyone there. And also, if you are curious on how to follow us, like, subscribe, share, those are your links for our social media. And of course, our email subscription list is at www.telestream.net/WirecastLive. Oh, looks like we just went back to social media card. That's okay. www.telestream.net/WirecastLive. And then that will get you a link to your inbox with show descriptions and upcoming guests. So next week, again, we have a very exciting guest with WGBH Boston. Very excited to talk to them. And finally, if you are curious about upcoming live events, webinars, trade shows, and so forth, you should head over to the same link, but just instead of Wirecast Live, go to telestream.net/events, and you can find out about what's coming up on our calendar there. So there you go, telestream.net. That's the latest place to get other types of events, and you can visit us in person if we're at a trade show near you. And there will be someone coming up this fall. All right, thanks so much for watching Wirecast Live. Hope this was a helpful episode. Again, stick around for after the credits if you are curious about live streaming with mobile apps like Wirecast Go and Wirecast Cam, and some of the gear and tips I have for you for that. All right, I'll see you next week.